Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. We're going to make some, I call it fry bread, soft fry bread. Now this really isn't like the Navajo fry bread because we're going to use milk in it rather than water, and that's really going to make it more of a soft bread. We're also going to put a little butter in it. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to make that, and we absolutely love it, okay? Now you can serve it with a meal, or you can have it sweet and put like cinnamon and sugar on it and butter, or like just butter and some confectionery sugar, which is what we do a lot. But it goes really well with almost any meal. So we're going to get started now. I'm going to show you how I make this. Now this recipe is sort of a combination of different recipes I have seen over the years, and I just sort of ended up really making it my own. And I do always work on the stove here because first of all I've got a light up above and the stove is dark, and it's a little bit easier to see what's going on when you've got the darker surface here. Alright, first thing we're going to do is measure 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Now I use the King Arthur all-purpose flour, but any all-purpose flour would work. Just don't get self-rising. And in this particular recipe, really in most bread recipes, you do not sift the flour. So you just take it right out of the bag, just as it is, and just smooth off the top of it so you've got a cup. So this is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to this I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now it's not baking soda, it's baking powder, 2 teaspoons. And next I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Just 1 teaspoon of salt. Or really not quite a full teaspoon. Now these are our dry ingredients. I'm just going to mix those around a little bit. And to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Now the butter is not hot, but it is still a little bit warm. It's not just totally melted either. I did it in the microwave. Just dump that in. Kind of mix it all around. And next, 3/4 a cup of whole milk, and you want this at room temperature or slightly warm. Now, I just do this in my microwave for about, maybe 20-30 seconds, and then just stir it around so it's just barely warm. So then you're just going to slowly add this in and let it just form a ball, really. Just keep mixing it in. It's very, very easy to mix this up. Now depending on your flour, you might need a little more milk because you want to make a sticky dough. And I might need a little more milk too. Just see. Because you want it to be a soft dough. Alright, I'm gonna definitely need a little more milk. And this one's straight from the refrigerator, but still, for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and add it in. Now the purpose of warming up the butter and the milk is so that the dough will come together a lot quicker, and it will get to the place where you want it a lot quicker. Excuse me. Okay. Now it's really come together here. So now we're going to knead it just a little bit. And it is a sticky dough, so It's going to get on your hands a little bit probably. Just put a little flour on it to make it easier to knead. So just kneading it a little bit, and I'm going to just get all that off the sides. Let that get into the flour, into the ball. And again, it's going to be a soft dough. And we're going to make about 10 little soft fried little breads with this, and I do freeze these. And I'll show you how I do this in a little bit. All right, so we've got it mixed up, nice little round ball, and now we're going to let it just sit here. I'm going to cover it up. We're going to let it sit for 20 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. Okay, and after we let it sit for the 20 minutes, we'll be back. All right, we're back, and our dough has been sitting for about 20 minutes, and we're getting ready to roll it out. Now, I have heated up my Fry Daddy, and I'm using the Fry Daddy this time because it will maintain that correct frying temperature really better than anything else I have. Now, one of those large square skillets that you plug in would also work. All right, I'll show you how we do this now. Again, this is going to be soft fry bread, and this is a type of bread that they serve at meals in India. Now, it's different from the Navajo fry bread in that milk is used rather than water, and also butter. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I've poured out just a teeny bit of oil in a little glass dish, and I'm going to oil my little, this is actually a sheet of, I don't know what it is, a type of rubber, and I just cut it into, it's the kind that you roll out pie crust on. Now, underneath this, I'm going to put down, this is an old rag of a t-shirt, and it's wet. And I'm just going to put this down so my little sheet doesn't slide when I'm rolling it out. And this is a piece of PVC pipe. It's probably, I'm going to guess, 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 inches. And I'm going to put a little oil on that. Now, when you don't use the flour to, put on your little board that you're using to roll out the dough, or on this, then you don't, your frying grease really lasts longer because you're not adding that extra flour that's going to come off of it in the pot. All right, I'm going to take my dough and just, kind of work it around a little bit. Again, you want your hands oiled pretty good. And I'm going to cut this dough into 10 pieces. The reason for that is I don't want it any bigger than my little circle here. In fact, I want it much smaller than the circle. Now I'm going to cut these in half. I might end up making 12. So I'm going to cut those in half also. Yeah, and I'm going to end up with 12. It doesn't really matter because I don't want them real big. So I'm going to cut this in 3 sections and then cut each section in half. And reserve those over in a little bowl. Okay, now I can smell my grease. It's good and hot now. I'm going to roll this up in a little ball. And then I'm going to just roll it out. And I've drawn this on with ink. I hope you can see this little circle here. So I know I can't make them any bigger than that, and preferably a lot smaller. And they don't have to be perfectly round, because they're going to be good regardless. All right, let me get a paper towel. Oh, I got one right here. Alright, now I'm going to move the camera so you can watch it cook in the grease. Alright. Well, let me move the camera first. Okay, I think you can see it right there. There you go. Now see how thin it is? Just going to gently drop it in. I'm going to turn my fan on because I don't like all that fried food smell in here. Now it only takes just really a couple of minutes for these to cook. Now while that's cooking, I'm going to roll out another one. Alright, I'm going to flip it over now. This one's ready to take out now. I'm going to let it drain just a little bit. Let's have a look at how brown it is. And I'll just put it on a little rack to drain. And here's the next one. These are kind of like miniature elephant ears that you get at the fair. They're very much like them. Ready to turn that one over now. And again, if you have a flat skillet, those kind that plug in, you know, the little square ones, you could make these much bigger. See what the back of it looks like? Isn't that nice? Cook that side. I'll have a look at this and see if it's about ready. Nope, we need to cook it on that side just a little bit more. Alright, this one's ready. See how fast that is? Doesn't that look great? And they will be soft, somewhat soft, once they're cool. Alright, we're ready to put another one in there. And while those are cooking, I'm rolling out the next one. As you make these, you really get better at rolling them out. See there? And again, I'm using the Fry Daddy because it's really the only thing I have that keeps that constant temperature. If I cook them on the stove, I've got to constantly be adjusting my burner temperature. So when I use the Fry Daddy, I don't have to worry about that. Now this one that we just fixed, see, they're really not greasy. I don't think really at all. They're just they stay pretty non-greasy. Now we do end up putting butter on them though, okay, and confectionery sugar. All right, let's see if this one's done. Yep, I believe it is. Just let them drain a little bit. Kind of shake that grease off of them. There you have it. I'm going to do one more. I'm really getting better at getting them in there straight now. There. Just be real careful with that hot oil. Out the next one now over here where you can't really see. While that one's cooking, it gives you almost just the exact amount of time to roll the next one out. So it's a pretty good assembly line type thing. And again, they don't have to be perfectly round. In fact, they really look better if they're not just totally round. Let's see if it's ready to turn this one over now. Yeah. They get those little bubbles in them. They're just so good. Alright, that one's just about ready. And I do have to have this fan on up over it because otherwise my house smells like a greasy spoon restaurant. So I pretty much try to keep the fan on all the time when I'm frying these. That one needs to cook just a little more. I would describe these as soft, yet they have crispy sections to them, but they're real easy to chew and break off, you know, take a bite of them. And where the Navajo bread, it's a little tough. I mean, they're still good, the Navajo bread, but to me, I like these better. All right, there it is. And just let them drain. Just kind of knock the grease off of them a little bit, and then put them on a little wire rack to drain. I'm going to put one more in, and then I'm going to cut this off, cut your camera off, and continue frying them until we get done. Then I'll show you what they look like. So you can see that a little better if I move my camera a little bit. Oh, wrong way. There you go. See how they form the little bubbles on top? Alright, time to turn this one over probably. Here are the little bubbles. Alright, we'll be back when I finish cooking all these. I wanted to show you a little alternative way of rolling these out in case you don't have something like this. Now a big, you know, wooden rolling pin probably isn't going to work. So if you don't have something, you know, sort of shaped like that or even a little smaller that's round, I did find something. Even a little candy thermometer holder would work. But if you don't have anything, this works just as well. Just take your fingers, a little oil on, and just keep mashing it out. Mashing and that works almost as well as rolling them out. So you can definitely do this without having, anything to roll them out with. Here's what they look like now. Now, what I do is stand them up in a wire rack. See, they'll just fit right in the little grooves in the wire rack, and they're really not even touching each other. That way they'll cool, and they'll be a little bit crispy, but mostly soft on the inside. All right, again. See, you just mash that out with your fingers. This one I mashed out with my fingers. See? Oh, that's hot. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, I have completed making all of my soft fry bread. And that recipe did make 12 of this size. I'll let you see compared to my hand. And to me, this is a better size because it, fits on your plate. And we usually eat it with, some other kind of, something like meatloaf, whatever, a full meal with vegetables and everything. So, there it is, soft rye bread, and it's crunchy and yet soft. And it's very easy to chew. Now, if you want to make them sweet, you just put a little butter on them. Sprinkle them with some powdered sugar, and you're good to go. And the other alternative would be to use some regular sugar and cinnamon and butter, and that makes them delicious. They're great with coffee too, by the way, in the morning. All right, see you next time. Well, I decided to come back and show you that these freeze really well. I had forgot to mention that. Now, I freeze them in this little plastic container I got at Walmart. So I've got one in the bottom. I just put a little piece of wax paper down. I don't want them to stick together. Now they're completely cooled, okay? And I just start stacking them up. Now we usually only eat 2 each at a meal. Sometimes I'd like to eat more than that, but most of the time we just eat 2 each. So you just stack them in there. And when you get ready to take them out of the freezer, all you have to do is just pop them in the oven. They're still frozen. Just pop them in the oven for about maybe 5 or 6 minutes if your oven is warm, and they're good to go. Try to get a flat one there. There you go. And I've run out of wax paper, so that's all I'll put in there. And anyway, they freeze very, very well. And I've never kept any more than, say, a month or so. But my guess is they would keep longer than that, but we usually pretty well eat them up, okay? All right, see you next time.